Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Sacred Symbols Plus, a PlayStation podcast supplement. My name is Colin Moriarty. I'm joined today by a very special guest, a group of guests. I don't know if we've had this specific combination before.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Chris, good to see you today. I love your shirt. That's like a shirt my Sicilian, I mean, it's very fitting. My Sicilian grandfather would have worn for sure.
Yeah.
So I assume that's intentional. You look like a mobster.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think the Sicilian mob shirt with the loose gray skater beanie is probably not the most coherent.
Yeah, you're in the character creator.
Yeah, I'm like
creating a custom skater.
I'm a freeze frame of somebody trying to figure something out with their guy. But no, it's I don't know. I woke up really early today, and the angle of this setup's like slightly different. I moved my desk into the kind of the corner of my office because I was there's something about, I'm very sensitive to like the aesthetics of like where I work, and I think I didn't realize that I was used to this until I was sitting in this office for a long time. I was like, I feel like I need natural light. Kind of like, you know what I mean? Like kind of like emanating onto the desk as opposed to like kind of like from behind me and off to the side. It makes everything feel darker and weird.
Yeah.
So I spent all this morning just kind of like rewiring. I got my PC kind of set up on a table so it doesn't fall to the earth when I move the standing desk up. But it's good. It's a good setup. Need some tweaks, but busy morning.
Cool. Yeah, I got to get a stand. I mean, Mike and I keep saying it. I got to get a standing desk at some point, but I just have this. When I moved in, I got this really nice wooden, it's expensive, nice desk, and it comes in 3 parts. And then the guys came over and like put them together, and it's like in the corner. It's a 90-degree angle desk, so I'm like facing the corner right now. And the problem is that I don't know if I can ever. It's like an old piece of furniture or something where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. This thing is like 500 pounds and it's just here now. And so it's difficult for me to get the adjusted desk because I have to figure out a way to get rid of this. I understand what you're saying about the natural light, but I live in Dracula's castle. So I can't quite relate to what you're saying. I have like the blackout. I don't have curtains, but I have the blinds that like blackout. I even have them in my living room because the glare when the blinds are just down is, when there's glare on the TV and you don't notice it, and then you do notice it, and then you can't stop staring at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've played it on TV for hours where I'm like, oh, there's like a huge glare there. I didn't even notice it. And then you just stare at it and then it's over. The experience is over. So I had to get those things to like just knock the light out completely. Plus I'm vampiric, like I said. Well, it's good to be here with you, Chris, and fitting shirt. I really appreciate that, whether it was intentional or not. It does authentically remind me of my very Sicilian grandfather. Lockmort, good to see you. Now, what I was saying was I don't think it's been the 3 of us ever on a show, so it's good to have you here with us today. And how are you doing over there in Europe?
Yeah, well, I'm very excited to talk with you guys about a game set in Europe for the first time ever, I think. And your grandfather's country, I guess, or region of the
we're from Sicily. Country. I don't know much more than that, to be honest, but we're Sicilian. So,
so you kind of went back home then. That's awesome.
That's really a major reason why I loved the game, I think. So we'll talk about that. But because Chris had said it. He's like, oh, what did you say? You said something funny last week. You were like,
I don't remember. It sounds like representation.
Representation, right? Very funny.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So what's going on with you? So first of all, we were talking a little bit before Chris showed up and we started recording, but the clips are doing great from the streaming. You're doing awesome. People love it.
They're very fun to do. You guys are doing amazing with the streams, because normally when people give you like an edit job, it's not always fun to do, but with you guys it's always so much fun because you say the craziest stuff on the streams anyway, so makes my life a whole lot easier. But no, they always crack me up. Whenever I edit something for you guys, it always cracks me up, and the streams are, I think, some of the best material you've ever given me in there. So I love doing them. They're amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. You're doing great. Everyone's into it. I'm happy with the streams as well. And yeah, it's been bringing out a different energy, an old energy in me, like not an old person energy, but an old Colin energy. That's like a little crazier. Just the live dynamic. It's different. We're live to tape, but it's not the same. Because I know no one's seeing this. Like, I know, like, for instance, like Lockmort can go on like an absolutely racist tirade right now and no one will ever see it.
And I will. Yeah.
But it's the danger of the live performance of Lockmort going on the racist tirade and us not being able to hide it quickly enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, great job on that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't think we were really going to do anything. We're on this game, Mafia: The Old Country, which came out August 8th. So not so long ago, a few weeks ago for when this goes live. And it's just so happened. I mean, I've played all the Mafia games and beaten all the Mafia games, but I replayed them all this year. And so I played the definitive edition for the first time. We'll talk about that a little bit. I played Mafia 2, which is just a port of the PS3 version on PS4. And then Mafia 3, I actually played through for the first time all the way this year. I played it extensively when it came out, but I just never beat it. And so I was really looking forward to Mafia: The Old Country, and I was curious about where it was going to fit in the pantheon of these games. And I was surprised and feel like maybe it's the best one.
Me too.
But definitely, if not the best one, the second best one. I think maybe Definitive Edition would give it a run for its money. But I was shocked by how good it was. And the thing that I was really, I mean, I've been lamenting this on Sacred is, and just looking back at Metacritic, and again, we don't score games, but it is a good barometer of just people's feelings in the realm of criticism is like, damn, these games get pretty bodied by reviewers. And I don't really understand why. That this game is sitting somewhere like in the low 70s on Metacritic is a joke. And I'm glad that I can talk to people that seem to like it maybe as much as I do. And so, yeah, I was happy to kind of stumble into this. And so I appreciate you guys taking the time to be here.
Of course.
All right. So Mafia: The Old Country, like I said, August 8th, Take-Two under their 2K banner, Hangar 13, the developer located in Northern California, primarily. They have a few satellites around the world. Built in Unreal Engine 5. This is Mafia 4, really. And of course, Hangar 13 got their start with Mafia 3, which came out in 2016. And then they did the Definitive Edition, which came out right around COVID in 2020. And then they have an interesting... So people might remember that a studio called Illusion Softworks made the original Mafia, and then they turned into 2K Czech, made Mafia 2. Then those guys, I think, founded the Astronauts. I could be wrong about that. Those guys moved on to... Oh, no, it's
Kingdom.
Daniel Varvar. Yeah, right.
Yep.
It's Kingdom Come Deliverance and Warhorse. And but they still have some sort of weird Eastern European connection because like there's a form of Hangar 13 that makes the top spin games in the Czech Republic, I think, or whatever. Is it called the Czech Republic still now, or is it called a Czechia?
It's in Europe it's called Czechia, but maybe in the US it's still called the Czech Republic.
Yeah, because I've been seeing that more on maps, and I'm like, I miss this. Like I missed this whole memo of when this became Czechia, but okay.
Well, it used to be two countries, right? You used to have like Czechia and we call it
Slovakia,
Slovak.
right?
Yeah, Slovakia, exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where it comes from.
Right. Cold War history on Mafia: The Old Country. So I was fascinated just reading a little bit about them or whatever. And I was also fascinated because Rod Ferguson has been discussed recently, is that when he was still with Take-Two after he helped ship BioShock Infinite, he was originally going to head Hangar 13 and then bounced. So an interesting alternate history there of what would have happened and maybe what a Mafia 3 would have looked like out of him. And of course, Hangar 13 was making a game they were codenamed Volt, which was a new IP that was canceled in 2021. That was going to be their next big project. That was, I think, Mafia Definitive Edition was supposed to just keep some of them busy and make some money while they were making that game. So this is the next game in the Mafia franchise, but goes, unlike the original Mafia games, which are sequels in some way to each other, this goes all the way back to the beginning and far back to the beginning, in fact, in 1904. I'm really excited to see what you guys think of this game at a high level, and then we can delve into whatever you want. Locke, let's start with you.
Sure.
Mafia: The Old Country. What are your high level thoughts here on this game?
Sure. Well, first of all, I love the Mafia games. I started playing Mafia 1 in 2002 when it first came out on PC. Yeah. And back then, it didn't have any difficulty options. So you'll remember the race, for instance, in Mafia 1. It was also in the Definitive Edition, but the original race was impossible. I remember it took me days and an end trying to beat it. And then I finally did. And then I think in 2010, Mafia 2 came out, and I also really loved Mafia 2. And you mentioned Daniel Vavra before, because in Europe, he's like a big personality here. We all love Daniel Vavra. And he notoriously hated Mafia 2 for what they did to his baby, because they changed the ending after they fired him or after he left. And then Mafia 3 in 2016 is one of my most disappointed games ever. I was so excited for it. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I was so excited for that game. And then when I got it, I even took a couple of days off from work. And then when I finally got to it and got to play it, I was so disappointed at the open world. The story is amazing, but the open world really, really let me down there. So when they made the definitive edition, I was pretty excited, but I already played the definitive edition because I already played the original Mafia. They're basically the same game. There's some scenes added here and there, some extra characters. So I was really happy to finally get a new Mafia game for the first time in 2016, really. That wasn't a remake, but that was a full new game. Now, as a kid, I've been to Sicily twice. My parents took me there twice.
Cool.
So starting up the game, it's really amazing what they did here because it actually does look and feel like Sicily. Like you have like the deadness of the grass and the deadness of the trees, but it's still green and lush, and then it's sunny and it's hot. You can tell it's hot, but it's still livable. It's not like you're in a swamp like in Florida, for instance. Like you're
right. I always try to. Do you ever? This is really nerdy, but like seeing like matching latitudes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
being really surprised about how things line up.
Yeah.
So things don't, because we're looking at it in a curvature, it makes it seem like it's more tropical than it is or whatever. But it's like, it's still livable. Yeah, it's not as bad as being in the South.
Yeah, it's like bearable heat. Like it's heat it's European heat. Like we don't have humidity here, or not that much anyway. So when the game started, like you said, it starts in 1904. It's such a cool thing that they have the Etna there, which was of course, it's a real mountain, a real volcano. So that immediately told me like, oh, this is maybe grounded a little bit more in reality, which it was for practically the whole game, which I really loved. I thought it was I had such a great time with this game. I think it might also be my favorite Mafia game because it's so short, it's simple, it's a simple story. It was immediately clear where it's going to go at the start. When you see the Empire Bay postcard, you immediately know, okay, I know where this is going, I know where this is going to end. But it didn't matter because the characters were so captivating. Enzo is such a different character than Vito or Tommy from the other Mafia games. He's much more grounded, I feel like. He's much more aggressive, a much more interesting character. So following him throughout these 3 years, from 1904 to 1907, was really interesting, especially as someone from Europe, I think. Not that we all live like that, of course. Times have changed, but that's our history. And working in the mines, the sulfur mines. We also had mines in Belgium, of course. That's Europe's history, working in the mines. And it's so cool to see the story of someone who worked himself up, basically. And then, well, we won't get into the ending, of course, yet. But I thought it was amazing. It also had a couple of really great mechanics, like the signposts, which I think every game should use. The signposts here, they were clearly made by AI, which people rightfully have a problem with, of course. But I thought it was a great mechanic that didn't take you out of the game, which is what a lot of games do.
It didn't put a line on the road or give you like it felt old, which was cool.
Exactly.
Like they did a nice job of balancing that. I totally agree.
Yeah, and it also made it so that you don't need a mini map. Right, there was no map, so basically you just followed the signpost to where you had to go. I made a dumb mistake in this game, and that's why it took me so long. I don't know, how long did it take you guys to beat the game?
Probably at 14 hours, something like that. And then I spent probably another couple hours grinding the platinum out.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Because it took me 22 hours. And the reason for that is because I had no idea that you could I played it on PC with an Xbox controller. I had no idea you could press select and they'll have a waypoint to see where you could go. So every time I got an objective, I was just frantically looking around the villa or driving around, following the signpost to see where I could go. Because I had no idea you could press select until I was like in chapter 8 or 9. So that's why it took me that long. But that also caused me to explore more. So I knew the whole villa by hand, the characters and stuff. And it's so immersive because you have so many characters, side characters to the side in and around the villa talking about stuff that's going on. You have the newspapers you can find. So I thought, I had a fantastic time with this game. I thought it was a great game.
Awesome. I'm glad you loved it. And a lot of the things you said resonated with me. A lot of the stuff with the minimalism in the environment fitting the pre-technological but post-industrial reality of their world, I think is a nice choice. I mean, I don't mean to be redundant because I brought this up a few times in regards to this, but it really reminds me of The Getaway on PS2.
Yeah.
And in that game, they didn't have signposts. The car would have the blinkers would go on and tell you where you should turn. So like it was ostensibly an open world, but it really wasn't. This is a real open world that the game just takes place in. And unlike Mind's Eye, which I obviously just played in Platinum 2, which takes place in an open world, it does let you just go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
As opposed to being like, no, don't go that way, fail. It's like, well, what's the point then of giving me this world? Chris, let's get you on the record. I'm curious what you have to say at a top level on Mafia, about Mafia, the Old Country.
Yeah, man. I just want to start off by circling back to what you were saying about the reviews of this series in general being somewhat softer than I think we all think they deserve to be. It's kind of confusing to me what people want, because it seems to me that, like, I don't know, an industry that seems to, like, I have my issues with games like this, right? Generally speaking, like, these are not necessarily my preferred, like, okay, I'm gaming, this is what I'm going to play. I appreciate it as like kind of like a deviation, right, as like a narrative indulgence. But it's confusing to me that, you know, I have the same issues that I have with this game that I have about like something like, I don't know, the original Last of Us, or a lot of other games that tend to get really good treatment from the review space. And so when I play a game like this and I finish it and I see the reviews, I'm like, what do you want? It seems kind of like it doesn't feel congruent to me, like the way people feel about these games, because this is exactly what people like, but for some reason it's treated like weirdly harshly. I really don't get it. Because I really liked Mafia: The Old Country. I think I will say I liked 99% of it, and that last percent we can maybe get into when we get into spoilers and ending. But I thought it played really, really well. I think, yeah, the signpost mechanics, which are in, I believe they're in Mafia: The Definitive Edition as well. But like that diegetic kind of way of moving you through the world, it reminds me of like the wind in Ghost of Tsushima, where like it doesn't take you out of it. It's kind of like it emphasizes the world you're in, and I think it's a great idea. I loved the knife fights. Although there were many times where I was like, just shoot him.
Yeah, right. Indiana Jones style.
Yeah, like, exactly. There are so many times where I was like, brother, just you don't gotta. No one's watching. Like, no one. It's fine. Just shoot him. It's fine. But they played really well. They were fun. It was fun to parry and, like, you know, figure out like the best, like, when to do those critical strikes. And I liked the dialogue that happened in it. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's a beautiful game. I always run on performance mode because I just don't care. Everything looks amazing always. But like, I'm always thankful when a game runs really well on performance mode and still feels like, oh, I don't feel like I'm losing anything by playing. Like, it still looks really beautiful. I think there's so much detail in the environments, and I like the way these games, or specifically Mafia Definitive Edition and this, treat the open world as kind of like, this happens to be happening here, but we're not going to bog you down with too much. You know, there's not like a waypoint over a guy and he's like, you know, go get me a suitcase from across town. And, you know, it feels very, I don't know. There's something about it that feels more believable when the world isn't strewn with these like obviously contextual and preset open world kind of tropes. And yeah, I thought the character work was great. I thought the voice acting was great. I especially loved the Don. I loved he had like a smoky, it's very clearly Godfather.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He's great.
Very clearly, I don't know if his performance was necessarily Godfather inspired. I mean, it has to be, I guess, but like the vocal performance specifically, like they clearly hired a guy that was like, this evokes Don Corleone. Like, this evokes, there's something in the vocal performance there, like his natural voice. It's got that smoky raspiness that's like soft. And it's like really like, oh, you can tell, like I knew immediately, like, oh, it's a Don. It's amazing. I think everybody's written really well. I think, you know, the story it didn't surprise me necessarily. I think I saw generally everything coming, but I didn't mind because I was just kind of along for the ride and I was into, you know, I'm into this stuff in general. But I thought, yeah, I thought it was great. And I think at the very end, it fumbles in a weird way. But it doesn't ruin it. Like, I think the ending is still very good. I enjoyed the overwhelming majority of my time with this game. And, Yeah, man, it's good. I really think it's my second favorite though. Like not by much, but I really loved the definitive edition. But I love that setting. Like the framing device of the main character in the coffee shop with the detective and they're recounting. I think it's cute. I think it's clever. I think it's fun. I'm more interested in that kind of time period and that aesthetic, that like that big city kind of vibe. It's just like it speaks to me more than out in the wilderness. But I'll say they're pretty damn close in my opinion. Like it really is kind of a toss up. I can imagine it being a toss up based on like how I'm feeling that day. But yeah, it's great. It's weird, the reviews. I don't get it.
So. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you going to say something, Locke?
No, I agree that the reviews, I think maybe the price point set like a wrong expectation for a review. I don't know, because it was $50, right? It wasn't a full priced game.
It's a fantastic price.
Yeah, because it could have been a full price game.
Yeah.
So maybe, and the discourse on Twitter, I'm sure you've both seen it, was like that it wasn't like Red Dead Redemption level of open world, so you couldn't go into the water, you couldn't swim or chop wood, but who cares really?
Yeah, I hate that. I could I so deeply don't care.
Yeah.
About shit like that. Where it's like there's no unique swimming animation in any of the Halo games either. Like I don't care. Yeah. It's not. I'm not playing Mafia to swim.
Exactly.
Yeah, people need to shut the fuck up. I don't understand what they're even talking about. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
It's those complaints, by the way, that lead to like fucking 7-year development times because people are so. They'll latch on to like the most minuscule thing. We bring it up on the show, or I bring it up on the show a lot because it lives in my mind rent free. Because it is just funny. But like the Halo Infinite Craig, the freeze frame of the brute looking like completely dejected while he's getting meleeed to death in that first reveal, and everybody shat all over it. And it's like I don't care if his mouth opens when I kill him. Like I'm killing aliens. I really don't care. It's nice. It's always nice to have that extra detail, but like, not every game needs these things, you know?
Right. Like I was even thinking back, because I wasn't even thinking about what people were saying about the swimming stuff when I was playing, and then trying to recount my own experience with the game. I'm like, where would I even swam? I don't even know. Like, obviously there's coastal areas and stuff, but I'm like, I didn't encounter like water in any meaningful way. I think you go through like a sewer at some point. That's probably like, ankle high. It's like, shut up.
Yeah.
So the expectations, it actually, I think, got hammered more than the game I'm about to bring up, but it reminds me a lot of Dead Space Remake, and just that, it's like this fucking up, really buttoned up, really high quality experience. People are like, oh, it's 14 hours.
Fucking
okay.
nerds.
I think the big thing for me is
insane.
And this is why I think I love it more than any of the others, is that I really felt, and maybe it's because I already knew Mafia 1 when I replayed it, and I already I didn't remember very much of it, but it's like you kind of remember the beats and the rhythms of it. And I found myself really caring about what was happening in this game, and very compelled by it, and heartbroken by it at the end.
Yeah.
Because I really was wondering, because I was obsessed with, and this is a spoiler case, obviously, so we're going to spoil the game. I mean, just so you should know this. I was like, who is their kid?
Yeah.
And I do wonder if we're going to find out if there will be like an expansion and it is someone, because like Leo Gallant's in the game. Like there are characters, which is fucking awesome. Like there are characters from the games in here who you meet them much older. And he's a really important character in 2 and 3, especially. He's the one that kind of like stops Lincoln Clay from going off in Mafia 3. And he's the one that is in prison with you, obviously, in Mafia 2. And so there's like all these connections, and I was really focused on that. Like for some reason, even after they telegraphed and foreshadowed that he was going to die when he wrote the note to Isabella, when Enzo wrote the note to Isabella, which I was like, oh man. I was like, oh, they're going to live and escape together. And they're going to somehow be the impetus for one of these families that we deal with. And I think that might still be true through the kid, but maybe not, because Isabella escapes by herself, and it's like hard, it's like, you don't want your kid to live that life and all of the rest, and maybe they'll never touch on it at all. But that was what kept me going, where I was like, oh yeah, I'm really excited to see. And I've said many times in the past that there are many games where I'm interested in the story. Maybe not many. I mean, there are games like The Last of Us where it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? But often I feel like I'm along for the ride and I'm just seeing what happens. And it's like, oh, cool. And then that's interesting. And lore dumps and documents to read and stuff. But every once in a while I encounter a game where I'm like, dude, I really, really want to know what happens. And this was one of those games. And it broke my heart. It really did. Like that scene where he gets stabbed. I literally sat up in my chair. I was like, no, because I was like, is he gonna, Cesare or whatever, is he gonna come with us? And so I appreciate that level of emotionality because I don't get that out of many games, and it's the shit you get out of Naughty Dog games. And by the way, or I do anyway. And by the way, there's a lot of Naughty Dog in this game.
Oh yeah.
It's not executed at the highest level all the time, but there is a lot of Naughty Dog influence in this game. And I don't know if that's shown to you guys too, but I was like, damn, dude, this is
sure.
pretty serious.
That there's like a chase during I think a baptism, I think if I'm remembering.
Right, when you're running through the houses and all that kind of stuff. Oh, totally.
Yeah, it reminded me of like an Uncharted. That was a great sequence, by the way. I loved that entire thing. Yeah. What a hateable guy that guy is.
Il Merlo.
Yeah, they did a great. I don't know. They did a really good job, just like establishing characters and just kind of establishing a tone. Like there were points where I do have this problem sometimes where I just get frustrated with some characters where I'm just like, where Cesare was like, he comes up to you and he's going to help you, and I'm like, brother, you fought me minutes ago.
Yeah.
I don't trust you. Like, obviously you're going to kill me or you're going to try. And then obviously, and you're like, well,
they kind of show that too, right? Because Enzo was like very hesitant to grab his hand and get up there. But when he did, but yeah, you're right. As a player, you knew it was going to happen. But it was also the music that made it so emotional, right? Like the music, it only uses like a couple of chords throughout the whole game, but it's so simple, but so effective.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I mean, that aside, because I want to get more into the gameplay and all the rest as well. And yeah, that chase scene was cool, Chris, especially because and what's shown about it being Naughty Dog to me, or Naughty Dog-esque, was not that it was even happening and it looked like a Naughty Dog sequence, but that they put in all of the love. Let me back up. When you have those sequences and you're in it for like 5 seconds and then you really pause the game or like take a screenshot and you're like, dude, they put so much love into every shot and it's not even necessary because it's so much work. Like there was a small team that was probably totally responsible for that chase. And I love when teams do take the time, you're budgeting out your money, you're budgeting out your time, the disciplines you're going to need, and when you want to execute. And those things are not easy to do. And that goes to show you that they really cared about emotional impact and story. And I think that that's really cool. Because there are games that have very straightforward stories, or I'm sorry, very straightforward delivery and great stories, but there's nothing deep about the delivery. I think there's something more deep about this game. One of the things I wanted to say that I loved about it, and I'm curious what you guys thought of this, was, all right, so just to frame the timelines for everyone, I went and made sure I got these right. Mafia: The Old Country takes place from 1904 to 1907. Mafia 1 takes place from 1930 to 1938. So that is the Depression, right? And that's Tommy Angelo in Lost Heaven, which is a fucking retarded name for a city. It sounds like something in Final Fantasy VII. And but that's about the Salieri's in Chicago, basically.
Yeah. And
then Mafia 2, 1945 to 1951. So and it really begins in 43 because you see what happens in Sicily in the very beginning of the game. That's World War II and post-World War II and into the Cold War. And that's Vito Scaletta and Joe, of course, and the Clementi family in New York or Empire Bay. And then Mafia 3, and I'm going somewhere with this, just so I promise. Mafia 3, 1968 to 1971, peak Vietnam War era. This is Lincoln Clay dealing with the Southern gangs in New Orleans, essentially. Those games all take place in seminal historical moments. And I think it means something to the series. The desperation of the Depression, right? The headiness of the post-World War II era, got the world by the balls, succeeded, lived, right? And now you're going to take advantage of it. Mafia 3, ratcheting up domestic unrest, a war that people don't want to fight anymore. Things have quickly disintegrated from that 40s and 50s, early Cold War era, into something that where the U.S. was in pretty bad shape, comparable in that time. And what I was fascinated about with the old country is that this is still true. So 1904 to 1907, you're Enzo Favara, and you're dealing with the Torrisi clan or whatever. And there's nothing obvious about what would be taking place then that would matter. But in reality, especially as a non-American, but in reality, Europe is in, and you can maybe speak to this more than I'm sure you can actually, Locke. Europe's in a pretty bad state, or at least it's starting to bubble up, where by the time the game ends, by the time the game begins, we're 10 years away from World War I. By the time the game ends, you're closer to half a decade, closer to World War I. But you see a lot of what's going on at that time: labor unrest, the rise of labor unions, crumbling social orders. I mean, a major part of this story is the count, or whatever the hell he is, the old Italian royalty, selling his land because he's in debt. I mean, this is literally what Downton Abbey is about like the disintegration of, I bring up all the time, is like about a similar, it's a little later, but about the disintegration of old noble orders and the old social order, and the turning upside down of things, the rise of communism. This is 2 years after the 1905 uprising in Russia that would lead ultimately to the Bolsheviks coming to power in a little while from when this game takes place. And then there's, post-Italian unification drama, and who owns what, and gambling, and political assassinations, and anarchy. Literal, not anarchy like in the streets, but anarchy as a political movement, and the assassinations that come from that. And that anarchists, ultimately caused the beginnings, or at least set off World War I. So I don't know if that stuck out to you at all, that they kind of more subtly, Locke said it in a historical time, but from a foreign perspective for American audiences.
Yeah, definitely. It's also, the premise of the game is also how many characters want to escape to America. There's a reason for that, of course. Like you said, Europe was in turmoil at this point. Everyone was poor. People were working in the mines. Even Enzo was working in the mines. And there wasn't much prosperity left in Europe. So people were fleeing en masse to the US before things started boiling over here. You can definitely see that in Italy, Germany, Belgium, Holland, basically everywhere in Western Europe at this point in time. Which is something I really loved. Because like you said, they did the same thing with the US. And I also think that's where the story is probably going, because you already said you have the 30s, the 40s, and the 60s. And this will, I assume, the next part will be 1920s US with Prohibition.
Which would be, that's the obvious place to go. I mean, that's where the mob comes from in the United States.
Of course.
So, and that's how they touch on that, right? A little bit, Locke, because they're trading wine for bourbon.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Which they speak to many times, and in this illicit mercantile trade with the states. And it's the alcohol prohibition that gives the mafia their power in the United States. So you're absolutely right. That's exactly where it's going.
You can even find, when you're saving Giuseppe from like the Guardia building, the prison building, that level, you can find an arrest warrant there for Don Salieri, the mob boss in Mafia 1. And it says that he got arrested for smuggling U.S. whiskey.
It's awesome.
So yeah, it's all about alcohol there. Yeah, it's all about alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a respect for the history of the series here too.
Yeah.
And just not, it's cool. Like they didn't Spielberg it or like George Lucas it or Star Wars it, where it's like small universe syndrome. Like, oh, there's IG-88, and it's instead they really do it very lightly. And it wasn't until I was really reading about it later where I was like, oh, that's Leo Galante.
Yeah, it's him. Yeah.
I was like, that's fucking cool. And he really does become the transcendent character in the entire series. I'm pretty sure, because they talk about it. I don't know if he's in the first one, but his name comes up in the first one.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of the only character that's in all of them. And actually, and as I said, by Mafia 3 is an incredibly important character. You only see him for a little while, but he like de-escalates the whole situation and gives Lincoln like an option of being like, it's over. Like you've made your point kind of thing, which I thought was so cool. But there he is.
Well, how cool is it that Frank his silent companion in this game, Franco Vinci, that's Frank Vinci, the mob boss from Mafia 2.
Right.
but they didn't give him any lines here, which I thought was amazing. It was just a silent companion, basically, to Leo here. But he's also like he becomes the crime mob boss in Mafia 2.
Yeah, and that's cool. It's cool to think about these characters, especially like a future boss on the structure, right?
Yeah.
Of witnessing this shit, but being a powerless agent in it. Because but knowing it and internalizing it, it's very interesting. Chris, where are you on this? On the connections to history, the connections to the other Mafia games, or was that connection to history important to you? Like the setting, like the depression setting, like in other words, everything gives them a reason. Everything explains why these power structures came to be. Yeah, and I think that's kind of cool. And then obviously by Mafia 3, it's all falling apart.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think obviously I've never played Mafia 3. I don't recall much of 2. I tried to play 2 after I played the definitive edition, and I couldn't, like, it's such a weird, I couldn't get over how weird it felt to jump forward and so far backwards at the same time.
Right. It's absolutely, it's hard to know, Chris, where the game really stands. Because it's not an acceptable shape.
I played a very done up version of Mafia 1 and loved it, and ran straight into the default version of Mafia 2 with the Skyrim text, the Skyrim font. And I was like, I suspect that, like, I remember when I was younger, like, liking what I played of Mafia 2. So, like, I'm sure it's I would like to see that game, like, done properly well, but, like, I don't think that's going to happen necessarily. But I don't remember much of Mafia 2. I didn't play Mafia 3. So there's a lot of the connection to the previous games was kind of lost on me. Like, I had no idea who Leo Gallant was. I remember Salieri, obviously. The first game is obviously, like, a lot more fresh in my memory. But I mean, the historical setting of Mafia games is clearly important. I mean, it seems to be the driving impulse of, like, what makes everything tick. I mean, even as somebody who didn't play Mafia 3, I kind of understood that, like, oh, this is Vietnam War time, and that's very clearly going to be important. And yeah, I mean, I loved the, being, like, seeing the illicit trade with the US, with the whiskey and the bourbon and the counterfeit press and things like that. It was just very cool. I think one of the coolest things about these games is that they are period pieces in an industry that doesn't really do that. Like, I don't know of many. I can't remember the last period piece I played. You know what I mean? That wasn't a Mafia game. I'm sure there are some. Yeah. I'm sure that they must exist. I think about like the Saboteur, or like or even something ridiculous like Destroy All Humans, where it's like, this is in the 50s, and it's like, oh, I like this. But it's not something that I see often. What's up? Oh yeah, Red Dead Redemption as well. But it's not a common occurrence, and so I'm always in for that. I like it. Yeah, I like when things have like even if it's a loose, like even if it's like a loose connection to the past, if it's like set in, an era that is at least broadly representative. What I love about that first Destroy All Humans games, although it's like a comedy, it's like it captures like that McCarthy, like the paranoia about communism so well. It's hysterical. That game's so funny. But but no, I'm a big fan of period piece games, and I'm happy to have another one. And I love that it's a Mafia one.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I was just looking at my trophies to test your theory about like the period piece thing. And you're right. Like, there are only 2 games this year, like, that I played that I would call period pieces. And one would be Indiana Jones, and the other would be Atomfall, which actually was a cool little period piece. Sure. As well. Alternate history. And that's what sticks out to me. Like, we are in these different sorts of futuristic spaces, fantasy spaces. So you're right. There's something cool about that. Yeah. I'm sorry, you were going to say something. I interrupted you.
Well, I was going to say that Atomfall, like, that's one of the things that sticks out to me most about Atomfall is like the time that it's set in. That's what I still think about when I think about Atomfall. I don't really think about much else.
That game kind of came and went in my mind because I beat it, but it's like the only thing I think about when I think about Rebellion is the guy that owns the studio, and Locke, have you heard me talk about this, about how he does like the really popular YouTube channel about living in the Middle Ages?
Yeah. It's awesome.
I'm like, he's so rich that he's like, dude, people have to see those videos if they've not seen them. Dude, they're great, but it's just so funny. It's like him riding on a horse. He's got like a whole crew. It's like, this is fucking dope. So that's all I think about when I think about Adam Fall, is that guy.
Did you guys get another huge connection really to Mafia 1? There's another character in here.
I don't know.
Basically see his origin. You see Sam from Mafia 1. That's Lucas' son.
Right.
Here, which I didn't really understand until we can spoil it, I guess.
Yeah, don't spoil it. Yeah, good.
When Luca dies and you get to Sam and you get to talk to him a little, or you have like one sentence with him, that's when it finally clicked. Like, oh, that's where I know this name from, because his last name is Trapani.
Right.
Sam Trapani. So that's when I finally understood, like, oh, this is Sam from Mafia 1.
Yeah, and what a sad sitch with it, and obviously they're not able to break away.
Yeah.
Because she was kind of stranded there and at the mercy of the Torrisis.
Yeah.
When Enzo died. Which was so sad. I liked that character a lot. And that was what I was going to ask you guys next, was like some of the characters that might have stuck out to you. Because I agree, there's a wonderful array of characters. First of all, and I have to shout this out, the Spadaros, they're like the family, like the rival family or whatever. Don's name, I think, or one of the important characters is Ruggiero Spadaro. And Ruggiero is my mom's last name. So I thought that was interesting. So it's like, wow, that really is a Sicilian ass name, I guess. And so I liked seeing that. Bernardo Torrisi, so Don Torrisi, we had brought him up earlier. I agree with Chris. The voice is awesome. The whole performance is awesome. I have to say, he kind of looks like, I've often brought up my friend Bryce's dad, my friend Bryce growing up, and I used to try, his dad was a wealthy antiquer, or not antiquer, an antique store owner. And he would bring us on like these trips every summer, and this guy looks just like him. So I was like, that was like what was in my mind the entire time. I was like, it's so fucking funny. So weird. I couldn't get away from that. And I think the character that stuck with me the most otherwise, honestly, is Tino.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this was a great villain character, like the true believer, lieutenant style. He's the consigliere of the family, and Mike was pointing this out too. It's like, there's something, you hate him, but he was the only one that was right about you the whole time. He knew. And it's a good point. Like, he knew, but I hated that motherfucker. Yeah. And I thought they did a really nice job of portraying him. Locke, what were some of the characters that might have stuck out to you?
Well, Don, the Baron Fontanella, I thought that was a great character, because his acting was so much more natural than the other ones, I figured. Or at least to me, I thought so, because he gestured a lot with his hands, while the other characters didn't really do that. And I recognized his face from somewhere, so I looked him up on IMDb. And I'm sure you guys have seen this movie or heard of it, because it was very popular when we were kids or in high school. The Boondock Saints.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that movie. Everyone loved that movie. That was like the coolest movie. Yeah.
The Baron Fontanella is the Don from the Boondock Saints. That's the guy. And when you look at his face, you can definitely recognize him. Also the voice and the mannerisms, that's the same actor. So he really stood out to me the first time I saw him. And then Cesare, the Don's nephew, who looks exactly or a lot like James Franco from Spider-Man.
He does.
That character also really stood out to me, because I thought it was going to follow the natural course where Cesare was getting passed over and he was going to become jealous and he was going to become your main adversary. But they didn't do that. And I love that they didn't go there. I love that they made him more grounded. Of course, he kills Enzo at the end, but you kind of understand why. Like, Enzo did really ruin the entire family. Basically, he killed his uncle, so he didn't really have that much of a choice, I think. And it's also really interesting to see where he goes next, because I'm sure we'll see him again in the next Mafia game. We have to, right?
Presumably, maybe he restructures the family, and then like they start making active connections to presumably Empire Bay, I guess.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, it's true. I mean, New York was obviously always a hot spot, but it's good that they established Chicago early in the Mafia series, because Chicago is totally central to especially the Prohibition story. So
yeah, it'll
be interesting to see how that all forms. But Chris, where are you on this? Are any characters that stick out to you?
Yeah, I really think Luca to me. I mean, I agree with what some of you guys said. Like those characters stuck out to me too. Like especially Tino. But yeah, Luca just kind of like immediately kind of struck me as, it's like, oh man, you're not long for this world, are you? You know, like he has this obvious wisdom, and he just comes across as too likable to make it out. And you just kind of know from the dramatic irony of it. But I thought he was played really well. Like I didn't even really pick up on the last. I totally forgot about like Sam, or like what his last name was. Because honestly, like a lot of these names start to sound the same to me.
Sure. Yeah.
After a while, but
Racist.
I mean, it's true. No, I just thought Luca was, well, first of all, Luca immediately like triggered like a memory of just like obviously The Godfather, Luca Brasi, but like it's just so sad, man, what happened. And like his whole story and like his family's whole story is so depressing. Like real in the broad scope, it's like he doesn't really get to know his son. His son grows up and ends up in that situation. It's like, it's really fucking tragic. Valentina, especially, like really, what a tragic character.
Yeah, they're trapped. It's interesting, you know. So they're going to get sucked back into the life. At least Isabella and their child will have a chance, although he probably will fall in as well. We'll see.
Well, they do get out at some point because Sam is in Mafia 1. So at some point he gets to Lost Heaven.
Well, no, of course. I mean, at that time they're trapped. I mean, there's nothing, they're totally at the behest. I mean, that's decades later. So yeah, I should be clear that at the time, it's not like they can be like, we're out of here. It's like really they're totally dependent on, for multiple reasons, not only because of part of the family being in the family and the code and the omerta or whatever, but the financial realities of it and all the rest. Like she just can't do anything. So,
but it's also interesting to see where it goes, right? Because nobody's left. The only one left now is Cesare, and he has nothing left. Everybody else is gone.
Right.
Even the villa is gone. So where does he go next? Where does it?
Maybe that's when they go to the US or something, or because of that, there's some impetus. Because I was always assuming there would be some sort of like established connection of some like economic reason why you would be going back and forth, or counterfeiting, like we were saying earlier, or whatever. But yeah, well, we'll have to see. I mean, it is my hope that we get more. The game seemed to have sold pretty appreciably. I mean, I think there was, I don't know if it was on, people leak shit on LinkedIn every once in a while. I don't think they realize what they're doing. Well, you know, like a marketer will be like, we sold like 1 million copies. Like, I don't think you're supposed to be saying that. But someone did release these sales charts. I don't know if you saw them. It was like I think it was a circle chart of sales on platforms. And I think it was somewhere just below 1 million copies. So it's probably 1.2, 1.3. And I saw, you know, the interview I've been citing with Strauss Zelnick on CNBC that I watched a couple weeks ago, he seemed happy with it. I mean, he can say whatever he wants, but that would be kind of unfiduciary to act like the game did well when it didn't. So it is my hope that they do more, but it's really a matter of what and I think, by the way, the $50 price point was completely appropriate, I thought, and really, really compelling. I'm glad that these companies are exploring a little bit space.
Yeah.
Do you think they have to tie it to Mafia 2? Because at the end you even hear the Mafia 2 theme.
Right. Yeah. Right? Well, right. And well, I think there's that, and there's the literal like Empire Bay postcard from Gaetano or whatever his name is in the beginning.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of going right there. And so, presumably so, but I don't know.
Maybe, I mean, it seems almost logic because they didn't number this one, right? So I presume the logical thing to assume would be Mafia 4 takes place in Empire Bay. This is basically a prologue to Mafia 4.
That would be pretty sick if they did something like that. I don't know. I wonder. It's funny you say like the main line and all, like, you know, like making a numbered version of it. And I really wonder where their minds are with this. Because obviously when Hangar 13 got Mafia 3 going and then released it, the vision was something much grander. And if what you're saying is true, then that would recommend to me that maybe they're going to go back towards a more grand open world for the next one. Otherwise, you've already had, in other words, this is Mafia 4 and this is just the new direction of it. Like, I'm not really convinced that they're going to do something bigger and grander. Maybe though. I don't know. I'm really curious about how they feel about it, or if the time is best spent just moving on to a different IP. How valuable is Mafia to Take-Two? I don't know. They're going to be flush with cash. I mean, they are flush with cash already, but they're going to be flush with cash soon and be able to take a lot of risks with different IP, which they should.
Yeah.
I wanted to speak briefly because we haven't brought her up yet. You know, I really loved the character of Isabella too, and like, there's something really there. I mean, obviously she ends up in a really tragic position, but there's something so tragic about her life that really resonated with me. Just the idea of being trapped, like you're trapped by orders of magnitude more than a person even with just an overbearing father would be trapped, because you're in this part of this mob organization. You're not really complicit in it, but it's around you. Everyone's watching you. You have no privacy. There's a bunch of his men around him kind of protecting and doting over you. And you're being married off to kind of almost like royalty, marrying off, trying to solidify this economic bond. And, you get our money, we get your title. Again, very Downton Abbey. That's why the main characters in Downton Abbey get married to begin with. Is one is a rich American and the other has the title but has no money anymore. So I feel for her, and I'm so sad for her throughout the course of the game. They get pretty bold by sleeping with each other. She obviously gets pregnant, which creates an imperative to kind of time is of the essence, which is cool. And I'm glad that they put that in there as like a pressing need to make a move before she starts the show. And it's funny, I couldn't escape throughout the entire game this idea that before the end, like the first 3 quarters of it maybe, where it's like, why don't you guys just sit the Don down and tell him what's going on? But it really understates the need for him to be able to marry her off. And obviously the mask comes off completely at the end when they're like willing to abort the kid and clean this entire thing up so that he can be married off to the Baron's, doofy son that we meet early in the game.
Right.
So I don't know. I just wanted to speak on her real quick. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to add about her, but I feel like we have to talk about Isabella just because.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and I love the writing and the acting. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's a really well performed character. It's weird. I feel like these are the only games really that and granted, it's really only definitive edition and this that I have to base on my good memory of what the series is. But like, these are really the only games where like the romance angle doesn't bother me. I don't know what it is. And by the way, I'm speaking outside of like RPGs where like it's kind of like part of it. But they write these romances well. And they write the interplay between them well, and they get people that have like chemistry with each other. And I think that's probably harder to do than it seems. It's hard to do in like just a standard reality where like even if you're making a movie or something, it's hard to get people to like. There's so many movies where people are they go through an entire shoot, they go through the entire edit, you're sitting in the theater and you're like, these people have no chemistry at all, and you're bewildered by like the fact that it even made it that far. So I can imagine in a game where there's that extra level of kind of like a disconnect between like the uncanny, like, oh, this is animated, and are these people even in the same room sometimes? Like maybe more now than used to be. But yeah, I think I got it. Like it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like, oh, this is the protagonist, let's give him a love interest that is pivotal to the story. It kind of felt like, oh, this felt natural because he does approach it from kind of an outsider perspective, because an insider would stay the fuck away, and an outsider doesn't really have the full scope of the context of like, I'm sure he's probably thinking what a lot of people playing are thinking is like, what's the big deal? Who cares? Like, I'm sure the dad would be happy if his daughter was happy. And you just totally like realize you're not in that world, man. It's like a very different world. And so I think they play it well. I think they have great chemistry. I think they're both well acted. The relationship progresses in a way that feels interesting and like I'm compelled to like see like what's going to happen with them next. And I don't normally feel that from like any kind of romance in a game generally, from what I've seen. Like there's some exceptions, obviously, like there's Witcher, and obviously there's some RPGs obviously that I mentioned before that like it's part of the gameplay mechanics of it, like Mass Effect 2 and other things. But as far as like a linear predetermined, like this is the story of these two characters getting together, like I feel like Mafia seems, in my opinion, to do it the best of what I've played.
It helps that it takes place over multiple years too, right? Because you can have to fill in the blanks, and that makes their relationship way more realistic than in other games where you're always with the character. So you kind of feel like this is how it goes in real life too. Like you meet someone and then years pass and then it all happens organically, right?
It does what Definitive Edition does, and what I love about it, which is that it feels like a show. Like it doesn't need to show you. It doesn't need to show you. You know, it's not necessarily like a Grand Theft Auto or like your typical kind of game where like how should I put it? Like you spend maybe 20 hours with these characters, but because the sequence of time is relatively unbroken, it also in their reality is 20 hours. And you're kind of thinking like, I don't know this fucking guy. I met him a day ago. And what I love about Mafia, or, you know, from what I've played of the Mafia games, is that it doesn't play with it doesn't necessarily play with the looseness of or the loose rules of playing with time that most video games play with, where like, or even like a lot of video games play with scale in the same way. Like I think like when you play a game like Skyrim and you set foot in like Whiterun or something, there's kind of an unspoken agreement between you and the developer that like, look, this city isn't really this small. You know, this city is bigger than what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. But to get the point across, we're going to truncate this a little bit. And that happens with video games all the time, like a day-night cycle over the course of like an hour. You know what I mean? Like we play with these kinds of things because we understand that we can't do it in a real way because that would be excruciatingly long. But what Mafia does is like it does feel like it's happening in real time, and then they cut to what matters. And so it begins to feel more like you're observing real people over the course of a real period of time instead of existing in this kind of weird, I don't know, this weird space where you're kind of not necessarily playing by the rules of what time and space is. I don't know. It's a really overcomplicated way of saying it. But
well, I mean, I just agree with you that in the sense that and I think we're all saying this as well, it's just like giving things time to breathe is good. Yeah. Vignettes in people's life, I think, is more effective sometimes than just sticking with a person. Because there is a cool thing of like, I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 3, for instance, right now, right? Delta, which is awesome. I don't know what anyone's talking about with the performance issues, but maybe I'm keen enough to see them. And yeah, I got the 48-hour early access.
Nice.
I have to use my time wisely. Got to use the time wisely.
I saw you playing and I was like, it's out. And then I went to go get it. And then I was like, oh.
Yeah, I got. That's the first time I think it happened, because I was going to do it for a couple of other games this year, but then it wasn't lining up. So I'm like, I don't even need to do this because I'm not going to be able to play it. But Metal Gear Solid 3, obviously, and all the Metal Gear games to a degree, it's like this is, well, not all of them, but let's say like the first 3, especially, all happen. If you don't count the Virtuous mission in the beginning of MGS3, I guess it's all in real time, or at least some sort of visage of like this is happening over days. And that's really cool. But there's something else about cutting in and out that I agree that makes it more powerful. And also, as you were saying, brings into account, it's like, you're not even really sure what's happened. You're just kind of put into this new situation. Time has elapsed. They do a really good job of that. This is one of the shorter games it's the shortest Mafia, well, not the shortest maybe, but one of the shorter Mafia games from gameplay time. But in terms of the time that they're covering, like I think Mafia 1 is the longest because that's almost a full decade. Yep, but then I think Mafia 3 is the shortest because I think it's like 3 years. But yeah, they do jump around quite a bit. So yeah, I just wanted to get you guys on the record about some of these characters as well. And you brought up the world earlier. I wanted to talk a little bit about the world. Locke, you had brought it up, and you had been to Sicily, so you have eyes on. And this is what we were talking about, and where Chris brought up, representation and all of that is like, I grew up in a situation where you're constantly reminded we're Italian, and I'm like, I've said it before, and I've been honest, where I'm like, I don't really give a shit. I'm American. We've been here for a long time. Even the Italian side has been here for a long time. And I've never really, so for instance, the Moriartys, my dad's side, the Irish side, came over in the 1850s. And so like we're detached, but hopefully I don't die. I mean, maybe I'll die beforehand, but like, well, I'll be alive around the time that like it's been 200 years since we've been here, right? Like we're a totally different clan than the people we left. And I never really cared, and I can never really identify with I'm curious to go to Ireland one day, but like we got to go to County Cork and we got to go to all these places where we're from and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know that I really give a shit, to be honest. Like I'm an immersed and integrated American. My fucking Timothy Moriarty fought in the Civil War. Like, are we kidding? So I never really clued into that. And honestly, I really never gave too much of a shit about my Irish heritage anyway. It not to be mean, but it kind of seemed a little boring. People are like, oh, I'm fucking this and that. And I'm like, oh, I'm Irish.
Yeah.
The Italian side was always a little more exotic, but it was the similar thing. And I make fun of my family all the time. So like my family, we're close to people on my dad's side, but we really grew up with my mom's side of the family. And so like we are very immersed in the Italian side of the family. And they really are like, Sopranos people. Or not that they watch it, but it's like, people you'd see on The Sopranos or people you'd see on like Jersey Shore and shit. It's like, no, I like when people are like, oh, I love this guy and this guy. I'm like, dude, I'm like related to those kinds of people. And a lot of them have like Italian, another Italian side. So they're like hyper Italian as opposed to us. And so I guess this is a long way of me saying that I never really gave too much of a shit. And I have to say that Mafia, the old country, struck me in a familial way that I didn't anticipate, simply by a lot of the iconography that I was like, oh, like I brought up specifically, I don't know if you guys noticed in the environment, there are like these really gaudy mugs, like drinking mugs that are like clownish almost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like we had those, the collectibles are these gray fox lawn ornaments, concrete. Right. And I'm like, we had these concrete lawn ornaments. They weren't foxes, they were like other animals. Obviously just seeing things like the Sicilian symbol is like the three legs on a spoke. It's a word for it, I can't remember it. It's like just seeing things like that, I'm like, yes, I know. Yeah, like there is more of a connection here than I guess I gave credit to. That like this is where I come from. And then seeing immediately Spadaro is like one of the first characters you've seen. It's like, it's Ruggiero. And I'm like, that's my fucking mom's last name. And I was like,
cool.
So I was like, yeah, this is, and then I was putting myself in the frame of mind. So, okay, the Moriartys came over in 1850s, but the Ruggieros didn't until the 1920s, 1930s. And so like, this is actually, they were there. And then I was starting to kind of see it through that lens. And I have to admit that it heightened the experience for me a great deal, just because I was like, oh, these are kind of like my people. It's a fictional account. It's not real. But I was like, this is about as close as I've ever seen Sicilian life. And the connections to, we've brought this up, and I think this has come up when we were done Constellation and other things, is like, my family was connected at some point. Like, not deeply. I think it was like my grandfather's kind of generation. Like, I think some of his brothers were in, but he wasn't really. And so like it was by the time I was around, it was a totally long foreign thing. But my mom would tell stories of like, someone coming over the house to pay respects when someone dies. And there's two guys outside in suits, like kind of waiting. And I've told the story, and my mom's in her mid 70s now, but she got like beat up by a guy when she was a teenager. And like these guys went and beat the shit out of the dude, and so it's like kind of, I don't know. It just felt tangible. Right. And I was like, awesome. We're not the Sopranos. We don't have any part of that world. It's not been a part of our world for many, many years, many decades for our side of the family. I'm not trying to say that like I'm a mafioso or anything. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying though is just like it's kind of like our heritage,
Yeah.
That is what it is. I mean, that's what you're kind of known for. So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I never experienced that before.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can relate because and again, like the conversation about representation, I never was of the mind that like, I'm not going to be like, oh, that game doesn't have any representation, so it's bad or whatever. Like it's really a neutral kind of thing for me. Like I could give a fuck whether I relate deeply to the main character or not. Like it's not necessary for a game to be good, or, the absence of it doesn't make a game bad per se. Like it's entirely neutral of a thing. But as a Puerto Rican, I remember like playing Miles Morales and having that the exact same feeling where I was just like, oh, like I know that furniture, like I know that music, I know that food, I know this exact slang, I know exactly what everybody's talking about, and they're speaking in that same Spanglish, that exact type where they're shortening, they're taking the S's off the ends of the words, and like this is exactly like what my parents speak like, and this is exactly what my family speaks like, and what my grandmother spoke like. And there was something there that heightened that experience, like 100%. And so I think before that, I cared. I still don't really. It's not a big deal, but I'm less. I'm less. I don't roll my eyes as much when I hear people talk about that stuff now, because I do kind of understand what that can do for an experience. Because especially for something like Mafia, and Spider-Man, like we both have the context of that exact game without that, you know what I mean? Without that deep level of like a familial connection or that weird extra heightening effect. Like Spider-Man 1 has nothing to do with Puerto Rico, and you know, Mafia 1, 2, and 3, you know, they're Italian, but they have very little to do with Sicily as far as like, you know, what you're seeing in the game. And so we have something to compare it to. And I'm sure for you that the old country hit a little bit more, probably a lot of bit more than 1, 2, and 3, in the same way that Miles Morales hit more for me than Spider-Man 1 did.
Yeah, it's well said.
And there's value in that, I think. And so like I'm less kind of, I roll my eyes significantly less when I hear people talk about this stuff, because I do think there is a value to it. It's not a necessity. It's not like, you know, a crime to not have it, but it is cool. And I get what people are coming from when they say like, oh, it means a lot to me because I see myself in it. It's like, oh yeah, I get that now more than I did.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, and fair, totally fair as well. Should we talk about playing the game? We haven't talked about that too much.
Sure.
What did you think? Locke, let's get you on the here. So this is a third person cover based shooter, driving mechanics, open world. It's not really to write home about, I don't think, in terms of the gameplay, but I thought it was all very functional.
It basically consists of 3 mechanics, right? You have driving, you have stealth, and then you have combat. And every section follows those 3 mechanics, and it always ends in a knife fight that consists of 2 phases. That's basically the entire game, right? Like you drive somewhere, you have a little stealth section, you complete your objective, it devolves into combat, and there's a knife fight at the end with the end boss. That's basically
dude. Sicilians love knife fighting. This is something I didn't know apparently about. They love the knife fight. Love it.
But it's all functional. It all works well. The driving is simple but effective. It works. Did you guys ever skip the drives? Like whenever there's no dialogue, you can skip the drive. Did you ever do that?
Yeah, I did. What I noticed, I did do that, but I noticed that it would even give you the option when there was dialogue sometimes, and so I would always drive for like 10 seconds and make sure everything was quiet. Yeah, and then I would do it because I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just skipping it. That
was my experience too. Like I was driving and I thought about it. It's like, yeah, this is a long drive, and then they started talking. But the icon was still there, and I was like, "Well, what do you? You shouldn't do that. I don't think."
Yeah, you know? There's a great piece of that, or a great story that they tell. Basically, what happened to Leo's parents while they're driving. Right. That was where I was going, because I also saw that skip drive function there. But that story they told there, how they killed his father and why they killed his father and what they did with the murderers, was amazing. So people could miss all those cool little elements there, all those cool little story beats if they skip those drives. So I thought that was a little bit weird to put that in the game, because the driving is such a significant part, and also the countryside is so beautiful to drive, and it's never too far where you have to go. So I thought the driving was great. The race, there's basically 2 races in the game, right? I think they cheated, I think the game cheats you. Did you guys lose the race or not?
So there's the horse race, and then there's the driving car race, and I lost them both the first time. But then
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
like I think with the horse one, there's a thing where you have to jump. Yeah, and I just hit it at a weird. It happens automatically, but I hit it at a weird angle.
Okay,
and so then I let it. I was like, well, I'm gonna lose. The car thing I thought was interesting because it's clearly scripted in some way.
Yeah, exactly.
So that you don't blow ahead of everyone immediately. Like you're overcoming car after car after car. But I think I shot at that point, and I got through, and it's like mission failed because I didn't finish fourth where the next time.
Yeah.
So, but I was so scared because I was playing it on hard for the platinum.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you better not fuck with me like that Drive in Definitive Edition, because that shit was ridiculous, dude. That took me. I was screaming by the end of it.
Yeah.
Gotta be perfect. Not like
so
that.
I thought they did it again because I ended up first in both those races, and I figured, well, this is supposed to be harder, I think, because there was a certain point where I saw the cars waiting for me, literally waiting for me.
Oh, interesting.
I was like, oh well,
that's funny.
You're just making me win now.
Yeah, that was obviously more scripted. But again, I can't speak to the horse one too well because I just fucked it up so bad the first time that I think that's why I probably lost.
Sure. And then the combat itself, I thought was functional. It was fine. I really liked using the rifles. The shotguns were fun, but I really like using the rifles and getting those perfect headshots off. That was really fun for me. I also really loved that segment. After the baptism, when Il Merlo is up in the tower sniping you, and you have to maneuver your way through the market. I really love like the sniper glint that you see there.
Yeah, that felt like Naughty Dog. That felt like Naughty Dog to me.
Exactly.
That part. Yeah, you're in like all the stalls and everyone's like hiding and everything's getting blown apart. That felt like another Naughty Dog inspired section.
And I loved that it was an actual mechanic too. It wasn't just random because you could time it with the glint that you saw. Glint, shoot twice, and then you go. And once you figured it out, it becomes so cool because you can really guides your way through everywhere. So I thought the combat was functional. The stealth was a little bit disappointing because it was so simple. Again, if you this is another thing that I found, like if you stealth kill someone and you put them in a crate, the body just disappears.
Yeah, it immediately disappears.
Yeah. You can put like infinite amount of bodies.
It disappears. It disappears too, like before the thing even closes.
Yeah.
Like you'll put it in and then the body will rest. It'll stay there for exactly like 5 frames or something. The door will start to close and then the body will disappear.
Yeah,
that's creepy as fuck.
Exactly.
It's a very distressing. And Sicily's scary. It's funny because like we obviously we're talking about, we mentioned like the Naughty Dog kind of quality, like of that the chase through the villa and even the sniper section and many other parts of the game, really. But there are definitely certain parts of it that like you could tell there's a little bit of give, there's a little bit of jank. The funniest thing to me, and it's so subtle, I don't know if anybody would notice or even care, but like it made me smile every time I saw it. It was like every time a door opens, it opens unbelievably quickly. It's really fucking funny because like everything is animated so well, and so you just have a guy walking up to a door, and then it's like there's no physics, there's no resistance to it at all. It's hysterical. And it's jarring sometimes because sometimes a door will open in like a cartoon way in front of you, and then like this hyper realistic Italian. It's fun. I don't mind this. I think it's charming. I think that's a deep part of video games is kind of just being okay with that stuff. But it did make me laugh. That and the boxes with the stealth boxes made me laugh.
And also the detective mode. I don't think it needed it. I don't get why they gave him the detective. And then when you play as Isabella at the end, they take it away from you when you actually need it. Which was a weird choice, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
Because
I hated that. I hated that entire part.
Yeah, go on. Talk more. Say more.
Well, no, I just... The game is so strong up to that point, and then it hits this kind of emotional crescendo. And obviously... I don't know. It just brings me back to Spider-Man's coming up a lot, but it brings me up to Spider-Man PS4 where it's just like, all right, time to play Mary Jane now. You know, and I'm just like, I don't really want to do this at all. I would rather you just show me this happening in like a really good cutscene, quite honestly. Like I don't get anything. The stealth mechanics are not fleshed out enough. And by the way, I don't mind like a simple, like I'll take my stealth where I can get it these days, honestly, at this point. So I don't mind the simplistic, like, you know, go behind a guy, strangle him, throw him in a box, whatever. It's fine. Really easily memorizable patterns, like a generous cone of vision. Like that's fine. I liked Indiana Jones for the same reason. It's fine. I get it. But the second you take away detective mode, that kind of implies detective mode is there in the first place because you understand that the stealth system by itself is not fleshed out enough to function without it.
Yeah.
And so at the crescendo, at the very end of your game, to take it away under the auspices of like, I don't know, like this is intense now. It kind of comes across as like a random difficulty spike for no and by the way, not to say it was hard, but like it just comes across as like a very random thing to do. I never like in a game when you're playing as a character and then suddenly you're playing as a immediately less capable character. Like it's a pet peeve of mine. It's the same thing of like losing all your equipment in the middle of the game. It's exactly what pulled me off of Deus Ex, the director's cut, where I'm just like, no, we're not doing this. But thankfully, like, I mean, it doesn't last too long. It's a little bit like the the Resident Evil 4 sections that are like that, where it's just like, okay, it's not long, and it is the end of the game, and I get what they're doing narratively, but it did bother me so much when I got to that point, because I was like, damn, you made it through the whole game without doing this thing that I really can't stand, and then at the very end you were like, hold on, just before you go, here's Imagine Dragons.
It's also right after the most emotional part of the game, right? Like your main character dies,
right?
And then you play as her. What annoyed me the most about her is that she kills Tino at the end, which isn't deserved. I think he should still be alive. I feel like that would have been better.
To serve the story, you're saying?
Yeah, to serve the story, to serve the character too. Like because what happens in that end fight? She basically sneaks around him 3 times, stabs him in the neck, and then he's suddenly dead. Like he's smarter than that. Like he's not going to go out that way, just stumbling around like that.
Yeah, we didn't need a boss fight there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and also she really cuts him in the eye and stuff. Like during those fights, she does horrible stuff to him, but it doesn't really seem to matter during that fight. Like he just keeps following the same route, really. So you just stab him 3 times and he's gone. But he deserved a better death there, I think.
It's got that had like Lazarevich energy at the end of Uncharted 2, where it's like, we don't really need this boss fight's stupid. We don't really need this.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm glad he died because I think he sucks. And he's kind of but he was the one who was right. If you just look at it kind of like agnostically about everyone's perception of reality, he was the most accurate. And so there's something probably praiseworthy in that, though we rooted for our protagonist as much as we could nonetheless.
Isn't it also cool how he finds out what they did? Like he beats it out of the priest. You don't see it, but that's what he does, right? Which is so cool. I thought that was really great.
Right. It's brutal. I mean, he's brutal. But he's a doer. I mean, he's the second, the second in command, basically. I guess he's not the underboss, but he's third. Well, he's the consigliere. Yeah.
When I ask you guys, did you there's a choice to be made at that scene with the priest. When you go interrogate, when you go hunt down those final guys, what did you guys choose?
Wait, what was the remind me?
The choice was to shoot to execute the guy in front of the priest or not.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, isn't there? No, it's a different part. There's a part you get a trophy, I think, in the game for refusing to shoot someone at some point.
That's it, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think
So maybe
that's what I got. I think because like you, it's like man of honor or something like that.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, right.
Well, what happened? Because I shot him. What happens if you don't shoot him?
I mean, I don't notice. I think it's just purely a trophy thing. I think, but like,
so it's not like one of the other guys shoots him, or
I don't remember. Well, I think Cesare.
Okay.
I think Cesare kills him if you don't.
Right. So that's why I was like, there's a trophy for that. I remember now.
Because at that point in the game, I was like, I think the first time, because the game gives you a choice to do that twice. I think, if I'm recalling correctly, like very early on, you get the choice to do that, and I did it the first time. But like the second time, I was like, I'm not doing this.
So
I don't think it fits in with the character at this point.
What happens if you don't do it the first time? Because that's basically the kill that gets you into the family, right?
Yeah, I am curious about that. Yeah, I don't know.
I think you might fail. I think you might have to do it.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember, but I do know exactly what you're talking about because I think, there was a I think Man of Honor.
I shot that first guy immediately. like I think he was about to start begging, and I was just like, nah, let's get on with this.
Brutal. What was I gonna? Oh, okay. So it came up before, but knife fights. Yeah, I liked this mechanic. I just thought it was, and obviously you put some work into this in the system. You want to use it again and whatever. And it became much more manageable. There's actually a trophy for not getting hit by the Don when you're fighting him at the end. And I had to go back and do that again. Micah was kind of intrigued watching me play. And I was like, well, I don't want to like do this fight over and over again, make it boring as hell for the, for the viewer. So I just killed him straight up. And then I went back and did that one. But I thought the knife fighting was pretty cool. It was a little puzzling. Just, are they men of honor? I mean, because there is this whole thing about loyalty and honor and family, about this, like, the omerta, like the no government, no outside influence code. And that could all just play into that. So it kind of read fine to me. But when you really think about it, it is a little strange because these guys do have honor. But if you were going to kill me, and I had a gun and we were knife fighting, I'm just going to shoot you probably, because that's just nature.
Yeah. And then there's also I don't know, you die when Cesare pretends to help you. It's not very, there's no honor in that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Right. There were certain parts of the game where I was just like, just shoot him, please. Like, I liked the knife fights. They were fun to do. They were fun to get good at. I appreciated the amount of, it's not like a deep combat system or anything, but like there's more there than I thought there would be. Like, I like the critical strike to break guards. Like, that to me was like, oh, I didn't think this would be. I thought it would just be all, dodging and maybe parrying and, that's it. But there were so many times in this game where I was just like, brother, like, shoot him.
It reminded me, I was saying it's so funny because she's never seen Austin Powers, so Micah wouldn't get the reference, but I was talking to her about, like, when Scott Evil is talking to Dr. Evil and he's like, I'll get my gun, we can shoot him together. Like just shoot. Like, and he has like all these complicated plans for what he wants to do. He's like with the sharks with laser beams. And he's like, I'll go to my room. I'll get my gun, and it's got that same vibe of like, just fucking kill him already. What are we doing here?
Right.
But I thought, I thought the game felt fairly balanced. Like, I think, the stealth, everything's rudimentary, comparable to the greatest in their respective genres. It's certainly not a great stealth game. It's certainly not a great third-person shooter. It's not really what it's really about, but it works functionally perfectly well.
Yeah.
I think that the thing that there was that game Rogue Warrior like 15 years ago.
That's
the famous
Rourke,
ending, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
And I will always remember the beginning of that game because, I remember there were even videos of it going around where it was like the first like 20 or whatever soldiers you meet all have their backs facing you, like right when you meet them. So like, it's just begging you to go and stab them in the back. And this game had a similar vibe, although it took a little bit of work to get it to that point. So you would always find 2 or 3 people talking. You would just hide behind cover. It's not uncommon in a third person shooter, but you'd hide behind cover and then they'd split up. Then you'd wait and see like where they all ended up. And they didn't even seem to be moving. Like, now that I'm playing Metal Gear Solid Delta and I'm back in like a more immersive stealth game, it's like, people move and they turn their heads and they have like a little bit of unpredictability. It's like, once the person reached his point, he would usually just stay there and then you would just sneak up behind him. And I think the one thing that bothered me, that doesn't bother me, it's fun, but the one thing that bothered me was the whole knife like degradation system. Like, are we really? Yeah, I can only stab 3 people in the neck before I have to sharpen my knife with a whetstone. Like, what are we? That was like a weird out of place system you would expect in like The Witcher or something. But I didn't need that here. That bothered me because I like the whole array of knives. Yeah. But then if you want the array of knives, they don't really serve any purpose if they didn't have this degradation thing. But then it's like, there are these little perks. It's like, you make more money if you kill someone with this knife, or you have more health if you use this knife. It's like, they should have just done that. So I felt like it felt a little too complicated. And then of course, like you were saying, the firearms, a lot of them were kind of indistinguishable from each other, to be honest. There was like multiple shotguns, it seemed like, and rifles. There were, and then I liked buying them, and then there always seemed to be a convenient case outside of where you were about to go in and bust heads.
What did you guys have? Because I used the throwing knives pretty exclusively because I was like, why would I not? Why would I not have a knife that I could also throw? I always felt that it broke the game in some places because it's just like, I'm really clean, especially because like, I don't know. I don't remember what difficulty I played. I don't think I played on, I think probably like the normal difficulty or whatever, but I never really was in a situation where I couldn't stab anybody. Like, I always had a whetstone. And if I did run out, it was like towards the end of a mission anyway, where there was like wasn't really going to be stabbed. It was like, a firefight already. So yeah, the whetstone situation is weird, but I didn't really care about that. The sharpening.
It didn't. It wasn't the end of the world. I was just like, I don't know why you're making. Like,
it's weird that it's in there.
I think it tries to break the ability to because you have to go around and strangle people if you can't stab them, and so it adds a little bit of like dynamism. You might get seen, maybe kind of gameplay. But I just the AI though was, because you brought up Indiana Jones. Like the AI in Indiana Jones was comically bad. I actually don't think like it was comical what you could do to the AI in that game. Like just make them like go around pillars and just like follow behind them. Like I did that over and over again. And so it wasn't quite that bad, but it was nothing. Even I played on hard. It was nothing that challenging. I think the only difference about playing on hard was you were just taking more damage. It seemed like that was probably the case. I was taking a shit ton of damage. You had to be somewhat careful. I died quite a few times in some gunfights where always my fault, which is usually the way it goes. Where I'm being too impatient. You just gotta be patient. Get that, yeah. They were cool. You have the grenades, the coins, which I did actually use a few times. There was a few actually in like one of the last encounters. There was an annoyance where like I threw a coin, but because they must have the scripting so that the walls don't necessarily stop. So there was a guy on like the other side of the wall that never would have heard it or seen it, but like he came all the way around the map to like get to this coin. Yeah. It was totally broken. And didn't distract the guy like right next to him. It was really strange, but that was cool. And the throwing knives were cool. I did discover, I think this might have even been like at the opera house or something. Like the knife makes some level of noise when you throw it. Like people would hear it if the enemy was too close to another man. I'm like, how? You're hearing him gurgle, I guess, but you don't hear him as I'm like strangling him out. Kind of annoying the shit out of me a little bit. So there were some inconsistencies, but I liked playing the game, and I don't know that it was the gameplay that was drawing it to me, as weird as that sounds. Now, the driving's cool. The horse race or riding is cool as well. But again, kind of unfine, comparable to other behemoths in this specific genre of open world kind of chicanery. So did you guys... Also, I noticed you have to wind up the car, but then they kind of make you stop doing it.
Yeah.
Almost like they got a note at some point, like being like, people don't want to do this every time they start the car. They like, it's annoying. So they like make you do it a few times, but then for some reason your car is just running at other times, like later in the game. That must have been notes that they've gotten.
Maybe, yeah. I like that it's there to showcase that it just kind of hits home it drives home the setting, I think, and the time period. It's. I didn't need to do that every time I got in a car. Like I could easily write off in my head. It's like somebody else did it. You know what I mean? Like it's perfectly believable. But like, yeah, no, I think I thought the driving was pretty good actually. Like I was surprised at how good driving felt, especially like there's a race car that you drive that feels awesome. Like there's like a sense of speed in that car that's like really, really cool. Like I don't normally see that. And like you'd have to get. I feel like you'd have to get like a Lambo oriented car and like Grand Theft Auto Online or something to feel. You're zooming down some of it, and I crashed spectacularly. At least a handful of times.
Me too. And it's comical. Like you're open top cars, and you're just like rolling.
Yeah, your head is gone, or realistically, it would be. You'd be a dead man in a second. But yeah, that was the horse racing was fine. Like I don't think it does any of that the best in class. Right. But it's all very functional. I think the story elevates all of it. And that's how I felt about Mafia 1. Like, I didn't feel like Mafia 1 was the best third-person shooter or the best, open world or the best driving. But like that story is so good and so well-paced, and so like there's no fat on that story, and there's no fat here either. Like I felt like everything was worth paying attention to, and everything. I felt like I got something out of everything that I saw. Like if it was like a note on a table, it wasn't like Control. Where and I let's say that as I love Control, right? So many documents on any given level, it's crazy. Like it's really daunting, and I'm sure like once you got all of them, like that adds up to like an amazing thing. But I don't have that kind of patience. I'm not that guy.
Yeah, not that
guy. But in this one, it's like I wanted to read everything because I felt like, oh, they put it here. There must be something here that's worth, paying attention to. or there was always like something to glean that I thought was interesting or that built the world out. Every conversation in the car was worth listening to. You don't get those like nothing moments of you going from point A to point B. Everything feels like it drives the story, and that's cool. And it makes it, and it does this kind of trick in your brain where it actually makes combat feel better. It makes stealth feel better. It makes gunplay feel better because it is all so tight, and it is all in service of something that feels like very respectful of your time.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, is just not overstaying its welcome. I mean, even wanting a little more maybe, but
right.
And we always say that is like not all hours are created equal. So by the time you're getting into the 14th hour of a 14-hour game, you go 5 more hours and that's extreme, but you go maybe 2 more good hours and you could have something there. So I don't want to make it seem like I have a problem with that. I think I'd rather a game understay its welcome than overstay it. And that it is far too common for, that was Mafia 3's thing. I think for a lot of people, it's like, I think Mafia 3 is pretty underrated. In fact, in replaying it this year and really spending a lot of time with it, I'm like, this game's pretty great. It's just too much. There's just too much nonsense. It's not even like the story is really deep. I do think the ending, and I won't spoil it here because that's not what people are opting in for, but like Mafia 3's ending is fucking bonkers. And I think that it's maybe a little weird, but like it's so weird that it's hard. Like you wouldn't, if you had no bearing for it, you would not be able to guess what it was about at the end. And it's strange, but the whole journey of it in Lincoln Clay, and that's the thing that I really want to touch on, is just the idea of like inescapable violence as a driving force in your life. And that's what the whole thing with Lincoln was in Mafia 3, was like, he was like a killer in the military and then he just couldn't get away from it. And all of these guys get sucked into this gravity well and can't get away. And that's what happened with Enzo. I mean, once Enzo, there was really no way forward for him. He was trapped because he could have said no to being made, which is, they would have let him live. He would have been done though with them. And he would have still not gotten Isabella. But once he kind of crossed that threshold, it was impossible that these two worlds could ever intertwine. And so you're like really hurtling forward towards like inevitable conflict and violence. And that really is at the core of all the Mafia games, is just the inescapability of it. And anything that gets us towards that end, I think, is good, because I think that that's kind of it's a selling theme for a franchise about the Mafia. Yeah. Is obviously it's not that's what made this. I mean, obviously what made The Sopranos so unique was that it was like all about violence and sex, but about like all of this other shit. Him going to therapy and all that. You can't really replicate that again. Really, if it's going to be about the mob, it's got to be about the crime. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's what made this so special also to me, because Enzo wasn't a killer. He even says it at the end. Like when the Don tells him, I gave you everything, you could have had everything, or Cesare tells him, and he tells him like, no, you took everything from me. I wasn't a killer. I wasn't a thief. Like you turned me into a killer. You turned me into a thief, which is true. He was like a poor miner, but he wasn't a killer. Yeah, which they keep calling him throughout the entire game, which is also pretty funny. But he wasn't a killer. Unlike the other Mafia protagonists who were all killers, except for Tommy, I guess. But Vito was a killer. He was in the war. And Mafia 3 was also a war. So that's what made Enzo so enticing to me, that he was a normal guy, but he really had no choice in anything here. Unlike the other protagonists. Like they kind of forced him to do all this stuff. And it's true, because they keep telling him like, you could have had everything, but he even tells the Don at the end, I have everything I need. I have my wife and I will have my kids. That's all I need, which is such a beautiful message, I think.
Yeah, it is. And again, I don't want to spoil the end of other Mafia games, but it's like the way Mafia 2 ends shows that like, no, you will not escape the violence.
Yeah.
Like, and how that ties into the first game. And there's that's like we make fun of things where it's like the same stories over and over again, but it really is just like a timeless thing of, I don't know, just timeless conflict and sadness and anguish over these paths that people choose. But that's what makes the Sicilian, like, you realize that the mob comes from, and the Southern Italian like mafia comes from relative poverty. that it's the same excuses, whether founded or not, we give criminals today. What are they supposed to do? They there's nothing else for them to do. And that's like where it really comes from. Like I didn't know a lot about that until I was older, about like that, like the wealth of Italy is nowhere near the south of Italy. Like, and obviously Sicily is like the worst of all of it. That there is like, and it's very similar to like when Indians come over to the West and they have their caste system, and people know it just by their names, but I would never know that. It's like when you tell someone that your family comes from a certain part of Italy, there's like an implication that I'd never really realized. And so that's an interesting part of it as well. I hear that sometimes where it's like, oh, you can tell this Indian person is a low caste or a high caste. I'm like, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. So I feel like that kind of added a lot to the story for me too. But again, that's a more personal connection, I guess. Let me see here. You had brought this up earlier, Locke, but I did want to touch on this before we go, which is just the beauty of the world. Obviously, the character models look awesome, I think, especially for the price of the game and the presumed budget of the game. This is not a high budget game by any stretch of the imagination. I think the world, though, is just absolutely gorgeous. I was really taken with it. The lighting, the sun and saturation of the light, these beautiful rolling fields of crops and colorful, vibrant flowers. And, everyone knows I love my plants, and it's like, there's so many beautiful plants, like, and renders of flowers and just popping color everywhere. I was really, really taken with how beautiful it is. And that you say it really looks like this is like, damn, dude, it's pretty cool. So you have like the volcanic, the terrain and all of that, but then you also have these thriving fields of growth. And of course the cities, like the San Celeste, I think is like the made up kind of central harbor of this area. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that I thought it was bucolic and pastoral and beautiful and peaceful. Actually, the peace belies the reality underneath it all. It's a little obvious, perhaps, but because everything else is so urban and run down. That in the Mafia series.
That's what makes it so beautiful at the end when the volcano erupts, which it really did in 1907. So that really happened. But when it starts to destroy everything, and the whole story really starts destroying itself too, or everybody starts dying. That was such a beautiful touch, I feel like, because throughout the entire game, every time a year changes, you could hear the volcano erupting. You could hear the sound effect, right? Every time you see 1904 and then a couple of chapters later in 1906, and you hear the volcano keeps rumbling and it gets louder and louder. And then at the end, when everything comes together and Enzo tries to escape and everything falls apart, the volcano erupts and the villa explodes basically because of all the ashes and stuff. I thought that was a really great thing to do here because they tied it into actual history, but also the destruction of the family. So it all tied together in such a beautiful way, destroying the environment really at the end, as well as the family, which was a great touch, I feel. Yeah, and that's juxtaposed, I think you're right, and it's juxtaposed to like the Roman ruins and like the ancient things around there of like just a lot of history and story and the degradation and remaking of this area over and over again. So this recycling of life.
I do like too that it starts and ends at the mine.
Yeah.
Like it's like I like things like that. Even if it's like I don't know what you would even call it, like maybe like cliche a little bit, like everything loops back. I can't help but like that stuff. I just think it's an extra level of thoughtfulness, even if it's bare minimum thought. I thought they handled it really well. The fact that like it takes place in the same mine and the volcano is very present in the beginning and then very present at the end. Obviously, it's just cool.
It rhymes.
I appreciate that. It's like poetry. It rhymes. The volcano is the key to all this.
Otherwise, I guess, what did you guys think? Kind of a postscript. What did you think about the upgrade systems and the economy and everything? Anything? I felt like I liked going over. I liked going through people's shit. I thought that was kind of cool, as opposed to just running into things. It's a nice little touch, I guess. It gets a little annoying after a while. It reminds me a little bit of the original Dead Island, where you're going into like every container, and then like 10 minutes into it, it's like maybe this can be a little old. You have to, but I like that, and kind of seeing what they have. If you really, the game, if you use a bandage, the game will give you a bandage. It kind of keeps you alive and moving. So I thought that was cool. And then I did have to grind for money. There are a few the beginning of chapter 7 is a great place to grind for money if people are curious. You can get like 250-ish currency every like 10 seconds basically. You just have to restart the chapter. Because there's like 2 boxes that you can just jimmy open with your knife in the beginning, and it just counts that sort of thing. So I had because I wanted to buy all the weapons, and I bought all the cars, I think, and things of this nature. So you definitely don't run into enough money. You can find those little emblems that you can sell for 100 each. Plus there's the rosary beads and all those upgrades, which is kind of cool too. But I didn't even mess too much with a lot of that stuff. I never opened up like the 3 extra slots and did any of that. It just was kind of an afterthought. The game never really drove you in that direction. So.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like there was never an organic point to go to. What's his name?
Pascal. Yeah, I think Pascal.
There was never really an organic point except when the game told you to go to him. But there never really was a point for me anyway in the game that I thought, well, I need this upgrade now, so I'm going to drive there. Because I saw other people play too, and you could customize Enzo too, which I never got to do. I think maybe because I had the option off in my game. But you can give him like a mustache and stuff. You can make him look wildly different.
I was changing his clothes a few times to make him more and more like, look better and better as you went.
Yeah.
Just for a little bit of the story. It's very similar to Red Dead, how I would take a shower and clean myself up just because I'm like, you got to kind of do it. You got to do it.
Come on. What are you doing?
Yeah.
No, yeah. I only messed with the clothes. I didn't really interact much with the economy. I didn't. It's one of those things where like I felt like that entire system kind of feels like a holdover from the game that maybe they thought they were making, or maybe the game that they planned to make originally that was like maybe more traditional open world, instead of this kind of more linear version. Like, because I found a couple of those like insignias or whatever, and I had no idea where I had to go to sell them.
Yeah, you have to go to like the store. You have to go to sell them to the nun. Right.
Yeah.
You have to find that witch and sell.
Basically, that's basically the equivalent.
And I knew that I had to do that, but like there was never a point in the game where I felt like I was in a position where it was either convenient to do, or I don't know. The game doesn't really do it. If there's one part of the game that just doesn't work well, I think it's probably that. Like it doesn't really feel like the game even wants you to upgrade anything, because it doesn't really give you a way to do it in a way that feels that you have agency over it. Like you kind of just have to find yourself with the time in specific chapters to remember that you have these things to sell. And even where I have no idea where that woman was. Like I feel like I remember where I have a memory of where I thought she was, and then I went to where I thought she was, and then she wasn't there. So I was like, I don't know. I'm not doing this again. Then it's because I also don't care. I'm doing fine without any of this stuff. I think I messed around with the charms because those had like an immediate gameplay effect, and you just sort of found them. And there wasn't this. It wasn't like you had to go like. It wasn't like a Destiny engram where you had to go like, oh, I got this thing. I got to go back to the tower and decrypt it. It was like it was immediately available to me, but. The deeper systems like that, I never found a good way to do it that also kept the pace of the game, and that also felt like I wasn't breaking immersion in some way. Like if there was like an urgent thing, it's like, oh, you got to go talk to him. Oh, well, I'm gonna go talk to him because it's urgent.
Yeah, I think there's like a garage. I only realized this really when I went into free. So if you can go into like a free play mode if you go to the car cyclopedia or whatever, and then you can just spawn a car, and that's how you look for collectibles. Because there are many collectibles that are only found in missions, and then most of the collectibles are only found out, or it can be found outside of the missions. And you do have free reign over the world even during the missions, I realized, although it's a little bit deceptive in that there was a time when they're like, all right, Enzo, come meet us at the blah, and we're going to go fuck this guy up or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go to Pascal's first and like get some weapons. And so I just drove there, and then the gates were closed. And I was like, okay, right, interesting. Okay. So it's not quite. Yeah.
That's kind of what I mean. It's like, there's not really like, it doesn't establish a good way of going about these things.
Right. Yeah. Like the story brings you there, or you do it in this free play mode that's not even really obvious. And I think they realized that they didn't make it obvious, because I don't know if you guys saw, but they had said something like where they're going to make a more explicit free play mode and actually have things you can do in it other than just kind of dick around, which is cool because the world is beautiful and worth exploring. But it was only when I did that I realized, first of all, that there's a quick travel system in the game that you can use.
There is?
Yeah. So if you go to the map, like there are icons where it's like a $sign icon over stores and like I think an anchor sign over San Celeste, and you could just go to any of those immediately.
Wow.
But only in the free play mode. And there's all, and that's when you can grind your money and find things wherever. But I did go after, because I platinumed it, I did go after all the collectibles, because you don't need to find all of them, actually. Like there are actually 2 categories in your menu of documents and things of this nature. And one category is the more important category. And it's like the prayer cards, the foxes, the newspapers, and something else. And you have to find all of these. Oh, and pictures, Isabella's pictures.
Oh,
and so you do all those, and that's like what you do on the course of the platinum. So I was going around the town, and it was the little things that we were complimenting the game for, which is totally great, which is like no GPS system, no HUD, very lo-fi. It's so fucking annoying when you're trying to get around, like trying to find things. Like you have to go find this obscure cottage somewhere, and you can't put a marker on the map to even like put something there. So you have to I'm constantly checking the fucking map, but maybe very realistic in that sense too. Everyone's like, you got your fucking atlas out and you're looking at things. So there is that whole mode, and you can go dick around with your cars. Like there's a trophy for jumping your car like a crazy amount. And there's which is fun. And there's like a trophy for going 120 kilometers an hour for 15 seconds. And there's a great place to do it north of San Celeste. You just go fucking flying. And there's just a great seeing the whole world. And there's a geodiversity to the game in this truncated map. There's the mountains, there's forests, there's mines, there's beach, there's all the. It's really cool, man. Like, so I really got to see the world more. And they developed this whole place, and you don't really get to see it too much. It's exactly what I was saying about Mind's Eye, but Mind's Eye was just bad and creepy and weird. And liminal. This was different. It just feels like, wow, there's a lot of work here. Like, look how beautiful these orange trees look. Look how beautiful this row of flowers looks. But is anyone even coming here if they're not trying to get fucking fox statue number 43 or whatever? Probably not. So I do recommend that as a way of seeing the rest of the world. I'll be very eager to see what they add to it, though. Some trophies would be cool. So add some trophies, add some new missions. I like this game enough to go back to it. And that's what we were saying earlier, is like where this is on our pantheon of games this year. Is like, I think Death Stranding 2 is the only game that came out this year that I enjoyed more this year than this. It's definitely number 2 for me. And
nice.
And I loved it. I just really loved it. I'm glad I was able to talk about it with someone. I really didn't know if anyone else was going to feel it. So
yeah,
nice little excuse to sit down and chat. Is there anything we've left unsaid that you guys want to touch on?
I don't know.
I guess. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
The only thing that I can think of is that, like, I did love that the tension of the meeting with the 2 Dons.
Oh yeah,
I thought was like a great. Even though you kind of know I know what people mean when they say it's generic. I get it, because it's not surprising. I just don't necessarily think that's like a bad thing. I don't think everything needs to subvert your expectations or needs to be surprising for you to like it. Like we all know that, Superman's gonna beat the, whatever the bad guy is at the end of the movie. I think it's fine. But that scene was just really, really well performed. Like even by the standards of the game, which is already like really, really, really high as far as like performance capture and acting and writing goes. Like that particular scene or that mission was just so well, that entire mission is perfectly written, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole, I mean, it really, Fontanella ends up being like such an important character to the undoing of all of this, because he is nothing without these people, and it's their work and money and protection that allows him to keep some level of high life. And in other words, he's trading his soul to these people, knowing that they're going to work the land in quotes better and get more money and extract more value out of this crumbling infrastructure of nobility, and how he kind of turns it all on his head, specifically in that meeting when he kind of wants to sell out to the Spadaros, like fucks everything up for the Torrisis. And it's good shit. It's like really, it's like it's totally double crossing. and the classic double cross. And so anything that you Locke that we didn't say that you wanted to touch on before we go?
Well, I think what these games do so well, especially Mafia 2 does this very well, that the world the game takes place in changes over the course of the years or over the course of the seasons. Remember, Mafia 2, you start out in the snow, then it gets summer, buildings change a little bit. And what they did here, they didn't really do that here because there weren't any seasons, really, just years. But I did really love that little scene where you drive Isabella to the baptism. And there's flags everywhere, little flags, or more people on the roads, just people walking, more NPCs. So I love it when games do that, and the Mafia games excel in that, I think, where the world the world basically is in favor of the story instead of the other way around. So it changes to the actions of the story, and instead in other open world games, you basically form the open world in the way you want to. But here it has a function, it means something. So it feels more alive. It feels more grounded. It feels more realistic. So yeah, I can't wait to see what they do next. Really.
Yeah, I hope I'm sure there's probably some sort of appetite to not become the Mafia studio, but that is what you are. That's what you were founded to create originally, and I think you should lean into it. You can get a new Mafia game out every 3 to 4 years, and I think you could kind of do it in perpetuity. This is what I say about franchises is. The reason Assassin's Creed, in my opinion, as an outsider, got so old, from my perspective, is like enough. Like every year, it's the same thing with Call of Duty or these other things. It's like it doesn't have to be every year, but if you just cared for your franchise enough to do it every 3 or 4 or 5 years, I think many things could remain around for 100 years. I just think and it's what people are always going to be interested in this sort of subject matter. Look how much people love The Sopranos. I mean, like. You just have to do it right. It's hard to do it right for all of the casinos and, Goodfellas and all. There's a lot of, Bronx Tales. There's a lot of fucking schlock out there too. And so it's not easy to do it right, but they are doing it right and they are doing it well. And this one is the most, the interesting thing about this game in particular is that it's the most authentic of them because it's the one that's most rooted in a foreign experience for most of the player base. And they seem to have executed on it pretty well. I'm sure that if I were at Take-Two, I absolutely would have spooled up a bunch of marketing or at least like PR opportunities with Sicilian newspapers and creators and stuff to like,
of course,
and really see how authentic and unique it was. We just don't get that perspective. And so I would like to see it segue back to the States now and maybe about the literal connection during Prohibition, which will happen in the next decade from when this game ends. And maybe it involves Enzo's kid in Empire Bay. I mean, I think that might be a little too literal, but I wouldn't hate that because I was really hoping that, I don't know, man. I don't know why I was thinking that it was going to have a good ending where I was going to be like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, they're going to get away together. I just don't know why I thought that. And then he's going to become some sort of boss or like they make a deal. Like it's Romeo and Juliet. The Montagues and the Capulets, right? It's like, couldn't they have talked it out and figured it out and like just came to some sort of agreement? And it's the same thing here. It's like, listen, I knocked up your daughter. We're in love. And the Torrisis are like exiling them basically. But it ends up working out where they have a connection to the States. I don't know. That's where I thought it was going to go.
I don't know. I don't know what I thought was going to happen really. I was hoping that it would end well, but clearly not.
I was hurt. I was hit when he was stabbed. I was like, no.
Yeah, they handled it really well too. I like how the sound. There's like a swell and then it cuts to dead silence. It's really cool. But oh no, you go ahead.
They had to do it because he can't play a role anymore. Enzo, he's too old. If he gets to Empire Bay now and he plays like a figure of note there, it doesn't make sense in the lore anymore for Mafia 2. What could happen is there's like a theory. I think I don't know where I read this. I think
that's a good point.
I read it, so it's probably not true. But if somebody had a theory there that one of Enzo's kids is going to turn out to be Joe's father, Joe Barbaro from Mafia 2.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And he thinks that's the case because of the little symbol, the little cross that Joe wears is the same cross that Isabella apparently has.
Dude, I would love that. That would be so sick.
It would also make sense time-wise because Joe's father would have him when he's 18, so that makes sense. I think Joe, I wrote it down here. I think Joe is born, Joe is born in 1924. So it could be that that's his father, and that's how it all connects. And that would also make sense why Leo Galanti is so taken by Joe. And I don't want to spoil the end of Mafia 2, but it would kind of explains why the end of Mafia 2 happens.
This is pretty clever, dude. Like if those are the connections to it, pretty clever.
Yeah.
And subtle.
Yeah.
I'm not that much of a Mafia superfan where I would have ever even thought of that. I did think the cross iconography was interesting though, just in that like it was very blatant. Obviously Catholicism plays a huge role in all of this. Even bleeding on the picture of Mary and stuff. Like,
for sure. Yeah.
They're doing the sign of
crossing
the
themselves and everything. It's like, but I like playing that up because it's, I mean, that is obviously part of the juxtaposition of the life, right? Is like, and what they're doing to the priest is a great example. It's like, it's all bullshit, but it's all putting on pretense. It's all pretenses and nonsense, but it's there. And they did play it up more here, which makes sense. It's more in the mother country. Oh, Madonna. And on that note, Mafia the Old Country, I guess we all recommended. I recommended it $50. I think it's if you have the money to spare and you're willing, you like to put your money where your mouth is, I think sending them that signal is great. I really hope people check this out. And I think all the Mafia games are just so much. I don't want to be a slave to scoring, but I feel like all of them being in the 80s would make a lot more sense than being in the low 70s on Metacritic, right? Like, and so there's some sort of disconnect. They're maybe outliers. I'm sorry, Chris.
They're definitely low 80s, high 70s games. I say that in a complimentary way, right? Like I think people look at it like a 70 or like sevens in general, be like, oh, that's bad. It's like, no, that's pretty good.
That's good. Yeah, that's literally good on the IGN scale anyway.
Yeah, and I think it's like towards the higher end of that. And in certain places, it's way up. Like I think writing wise, it's way more superb than a 7. But I think everything comes down to about like probably like low 80s if we're talking about, if we're even entertaining that. But I would say, if you liked Definitive Edition, I would say this is an easy recommendation because I think spiritually it is a successor to that. Like, obviously it's a spiritual follow-up to a lot of these games, obviously, but from a design and a structure and a pacing perspective, like I feel like it's, from what I remember of the Mafia games that I've played and what I know about Mafia 3, like this reminded me a lot of Definitive Edition, the cuts and the overall pacing of it. It's real good. If you didn't like Definitive Edition, I don't know if you'd necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, if you don't like Definitive Edition, I don't think there's probably anything for you here because it's a recommendation.
It's a recommendation from me with that in mind. Like if you do like this stuff and particularly if you like Definitive Edition, definitely like $50 is a steal in general. And definitely worth it, I think. But if you hated Definitive Edition, like you're fine.
Probably not. And again, Mafia 2, in my opinion, is the weakest of them, but only because, which a lot of people are flabbergasted by, but I really think it's only because of the benefit of time and that the other games got a paint, a fresh coat of paint that Mafia 2 just sticks out like a sore thumb now. It's just archaic comparable to the other games. So you really don't get to see it as it was, but I played it at the time too. Because Mafia 1 didn't come to PS2 until 2004, but Mafia 2 came out obviously in 2010. And so I played it at the time too. And I liked it. I guess what I'm saying is I recommend all of them. I think they're all great. But that's my least favorite one. And I'm all about this, what I'm going to push through, which is Mafia 3 revisionism. That there needs to be a fresh look taken at Mafia 3.
I'll replay it because of that. I've always wanted to replay it over the years because I was so disgusted with it in 2016 that I put it away and never thought about it again. But
so you never beat it or anything? You never beat it or anything like that? Or you did?
No, I didn't beat it. I got to halfway to the story and
sorry. So I spoiled some of the ending of Mafia 3. Or
that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. No, because I already looked it up on YouTube, of course, back in the day. So I know how it ends. But you kind of made me want to go back to it because there were a couple of things that really annoyed me, but I loved the story. But the open world was just, I was so annoyed with that you have to remember those green boxes everywhere? You have to open them.
And you have to steal the components of them and then you use them to tap phones. It is too much. It is like many, many games, very much a product of its time. or at least the time it was being developed in. And they're like, we need to. Everyone thought Mafia 2 was too empty. You're looking for Playboy magazines and you're fucking driving from point A to point B. We need to do more. And it's like, yeah, but not this. This is, I mean, Mafia 3 is longer than all the other Mafia games combined. Easy.
Yeah.
Like not even like no question about it. To do like everything in all 3 games, you could do it quicker than you would do it all the things in Mafia 3. But Mafia 3, what I liked about Mafia 3 was not only the Vietnam connection, not only that the character is black, which I think is cool because, but in that very thing that it deals with the underworld in a New Orleans, New Bordeaux, I think they call it New Orleans kind of facsimile, where the Italians are only a part of it.
Yeah.
And that it's actually there's like a black gang and an Irish gang, and they all have this interplay. And how you literally choose. Talk about choices. That's a game where you make a bunch of choices about like who you're going to side with and who you're going to help, and it's fun. It's a fun and some familiar faces if you're a Vito fan. All right, let's go. It's time to go, guys. That was a fun conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
Of course.
Let's go around the horn and say goodbye to everyone briefly. Chris, goodbye to you. Be well. You gonna go bowl a few frames with that shirt on after this?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what I'm gonna do today. Today's Wednesday, right?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, we usually record today, but the guys figured if I'm recording something else today, we'll do it on Friday, which is fine by me. So like now my day's kind of open. So like I don't really know what to do. I think I'll probably just play. I might jump on Gears. I'm curious.
Oh, nice.
Man, it's surreal. It's finally here.
It is. I downloaded it. I had to sign it with my Microsoft account. Connect it. It was very easy, actually, to do on a Windows machine. It just brings up a little password and you just type it in. So, yeah, we'll be playing that. Well, it already happened by the time this goes live, but that will be in VOD for people. Mike and I playing Gears together. So cool, man. Have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow from when we're recording for Sacred, which will have also already gone live. Very weird timeline we're in.
Yeah.
Lockmort, goodbye to you. Be well. Thank you for taking the time. I know it's late over by you. What is it, 9?
It's 10. It's 10
and,
PM.
It's daylight savings, right?
Yeah.
It'll be 5 when we roll back. It'll be 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So 10. So yeah, thank you. It's late for you. I record late with people sometimes. Like Ken Levine always likes to record late. I recording at weird times with Shuhei because of Japanese, and you do that, or Japan. You do that because of you want to accommodate people that are going out of their way for you or whatever. But I generally do hate doing it. So because it lingers in my day. I'm like, I want to get it out of the way and have my day. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, of course. It's always so much fun to be on with you guys on anything on your channel. So thank you for having me. It was amazing fun. And I'm gonna do it right now. You're gonna make me reinstall Mafia 3. So I'm very excited to check that out again.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what you think. Yeah, that you already know how it ends is like half the fun, because that's like it's so bonkers that I'm like, what? Like, I don't know that I would really be interested to see how they would continue it from there, actually. But I don't think there's so much space in between and the other things that we don't need to go in that direction. But I'll leave that up to you when you beat it. Enjoy. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you all out there for your love, kindness, and support. Couldn't do it without you over on Patreon, patreon.com/lastdaymedia and lastdaymedia.store for merch. We'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye. Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is conceived by, is written by, and is directed by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-hosts are Chris Raygun Maldonado and Dustin Furman. The show is produced by executive producer Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by my best friend, Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand's shows, including Sacred Symbols, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor. Thank you.